welcome everyone first, everyone who's already here, and possibly there will be more people joining. It's always like this. Remind everyone that we will record the session so that other people in the community can watch it later, or even you, if you'd like to go back and explore something that we have shared. So you can now just enjoy the session and not be worried in taking in. And saying that, oh, there's some interference. Okay, hi Julieta. And saying that we are back after a couple of weeks, not off, but without any master classes. And I think we have a great comeback. We think this session that we have today, we were really looking forward. I know that Emily, who will also give you a little bit of introduction once she starts, prepared with a lot of generosity and a good intention. So I'm looking forward to see what we can explore for us, for ourselves as individuals, as people who work in teams, as people who have projects, who lead projects, and who live in this super fast-paced environment without many moments for stopping and breathing in, just as she was saying a while ago. So if you have any questions, if you want to share something, if you have a problem with your microphone or something, you can also write me on the chat. I will be here also while Emily is presenting. And just I hope you enjoy the session, and that don't hesitate to participate. Thank you so much for joining. Without any further ado, I'll just handle it to Emily. If anyone joins and has any questions, just also just write us on chat and we'll be with you.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I'm super excited to be here and meet some of you amazing people from the Bridge community. So before we jump into it, I just want to set a few Zoom ground rules. I don't know how you usually do it, but just so that our session can work as well as possible. If you're comfortable too, I would ask you to turn your camera on so that we can see everybody's faces, because today is not so much about me talking at you, but us sharing together. If you don't want to, of course, that's okay. And whoever just wrote they want to keep their camera off, no problem. But then we know who's actually here and present with us. Does everybody know how to turn their camera on? Having some issues. Okay, cool. Great, so while you're figuring that out, so the other thing then is I'll ask you when you're not speaking to mute yourself, because it helps us with the sound quality a lot. And if you want to share something, then you can raise your hand if we can see you. And if not, then you can unmute yourself or write into the chat. And the other thing is in the top right-hand corner, you've got the choice between speaker view and gallery view. So if you put it into gallery view, then you can see everybody at once. So give that a go. Can you see everybody's lovely faces apart from the people with camera problems? Cool. All right. So my name is Emily, as you've already heard. I am an Australian living in Germany, and I'm co-founder of Unity Effect. And just a little bit about us, and then we'll get more into experiencing what we do rather than talking about it. But we are a startup who we started working together nearly 2 years ago, crazily enough. And we are about empowering change makers on 3 different levels. So we work with change makers individually, doing team, personal and leadership development. We work with teams of change makers, especially people becoming self-organized and building purpose-driven team cultures. And we work with networks as well, creating engaging communities and meaningful connections, which is this kind of event, which kind of covers all 3, which I love as well. And the topic of today will be around leadership and creating cultures of trust and empowerment in teams, which is an enormous, enormous topic. And we actually have a 12-week program just dedicated to that. So we'll just scratch the surface today, but I want to just give you some food for thought and start to reflect a little bit, and hopefully a few tools that can be helpful for you in your work. But before diving into that, we'll have a little check-in. So we'll go around the circle. I'll say your name and hopefully pronounce it well, and then you can share with us how you actually pronounce your name. Just one sentence about you. So we'll keep it quite brief. Where you're calling from, and one thing that you need to feel good and present in this call together for the next hour and a half. Is that clear? So your name, where you're calling from, one sentence who you are, and one thing you need to feel good for this call. So for example, for me, one thing that I would need for this call is that everybody is present, that we really give ourselves this hour and a half to really be here together and with open-mindedness. And together we're going to create our standards of presence for this call. And I'll share with you what that actually is afterwards, but let's just create it and see what happens. Everybody happy? Mm-hmm. Ready to go? Cool.
Yeah.
All right, then we will start going around the circle, and Ali, as you're already unmuted, we'll start with you.
All right. My name is Ali. Very simple. Ilbeg is family name. I'm calling from Vienna in Austria. I'm a consultant. My focus actually is on impact projects and impact investments and all that has to do with that, making projects that has sustainable impact. And the last thing that you said, I don't know exactly what you mean by that, but present, I'm normally always present and try to be focused on the things that I'm working at. And here right now, you have my full attention and focus.
Okay, thank you. So there's nothing particular that you would need?
Not really, but I'm very just curious in anything, or most of the things that actually the Bridge Rebellion community offers, and I take a look inside. I'd like to always learn further.
Cool, beautiful. So just to clarify standards of presence as well, it can be things like open-mindedness or curiosity. It can also be things like it's okay to take a break. You can leave if you need to. I can go get a drink of water, like practical needs. Or it can be, yeah, I need to be listened to, I need space to share.
Okay, one thing I just like to add if possible, so I know exactly what you're talking about. I'm a cognitive behavioral therapist too, so and in psychology, and I know exactly what you're talking about, and therefore I understand this, and I appreciate that you actually are going in this direction of saying that what we need, what I'd like to do, and feeling okay by doing that.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Julieta.
Sorry, can you listen to me now?
Yes.
Okay, my micro was off. So my name is Julieta, as you said, and I'm working in different projects related to social impact. So I'm kind of a marketing and communications consultant. And what I expect from today, or what I want to take with me, is some ideas related to teamwork and how to communicate with the team and the leaders, and how that vice versa communication. So yeah, like leadership applied to communications.
And do you have a specific need apart from your curiosity?
Not really, but I do work a lot with coaches that really work with the leadership thing in organizations. So, well, I kind of have a knowledge about the topic, but I'm really looking forward to what you are telling us today.
Great. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you for being here. Sarita.
Hi there. Hi, sorry. My name is Sarita, that's right. I'm a New Zealander who lives in London. I've been here about 15 years now. And I'm a filmmaker who has a project. It's a mindfulness app for young adults, which is drawn upon from a film I did about rap music. So it would bring in some music and rhythm, beats and poetry. I guess the only thing I can think of I need to have this talk is a cup of tea, which I have.
Beautiful. And I'm from Tasmania, so not so far. Nice to meet you.
You too.
Julie.
Okay, great. Hi, I'm Julie, calling from Madrid today, but originally French. I'm part of the team at Bridge. I'm super lucky to be working alongside many people in that call, Jaime, Alex, Asia. And what do I need? I need to forget that there's a screen in between us. No, I find it challenging to be immersed online, but I'm also running a project that's fully online, so hopeful that we can do it. Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you. All right, let's continue with the Bridge team, then we'll have Jaime.
Hello, everyone. Yeah, my name is Jaime. I also work in Bridge for Billions as the manager of the tech team. I'm really interested in, sharing the leadership within the teams. This is something that we try to embrace in Bridge for Billions team. So I expect from this meeting ideas to bring to my daily work at Bridge. So really looking forward to it.
Great. And something you would need to come out feeling good at the end?
Sorry?
Something you would need. I think you're talking to each other and it's quite funny to watch.
Sorry, I don't understand the question. I don't know.
Is there something you would need to feel safe and present in this call?
I need everyone to be themselves.
Beautiful. Okay, thank you very much. So we'll have Alex. And you are muted. I'll unmute you.
Okay, sorry, it's me, right?
Yes.
Okay, because we had a sound problem and I was resolving it.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry. Yes, so I'm Alex. Picking up on what you said earlier, originally my name is pronounced Alexandra. I don't know if everyone here knows, even the people from my team. I'm originally from Lisbon, based in Madrid. Completely passionate about social change and how to have a greater impact. Small things with great impact, like sessions like this. And what I need is a little bit of what Jaime said, having everyone to be themselves, but also the participation. So everyone being comfortable in taking 1 hour for themselves and understanding what they can take from it. I know that we can all gain personally if everyone does it. So this is what I would like from this meeting, so that I also can gain by yourselves.
Yeah, beautiful, thank you. Ifia.
Hi, my name is Ifia. Yes, you pronounced it correctly. And I'm originally from Ghana, but I'm coming from Madrid today, and I'm also part of the Bridge team. Yes. What do I need? I think, as Alex said, to learn a lot today and hoping that everyone learns a lot that they can apply in their businesses as well.
Awesome, thank you. And nice to finally meet you, not just in an email. Okay, Rafa. If you're with us.
Okay.
Yes.
Hello. Yes. Hello, I'm Rafael. I'm from Spain. Today I'm in Seville, my city, but I'm based now in Dublin, in Ireland. Okay. Because the project that we was working here in Bridge for Billions, we have been created the company the last month, okay, in Dublin, and we are developing all. Okay, I'm here to improve my skills in leadership. Okay, I'm the CEO of the company, and I'm working with my team to develop a great environment inside the team. Okay, to develop good things for the company to go to the market in the next months. Okay, we are outside the market now. Okay, this is the objective now, and the company is with social impact focus. Okay, but we use innovations in technology and in business model. It's not a disruptive business model if you see this one, okay, but all the resources and capabilities of the different business model inside generate a new content in the market, okay, in our sector, okay.
Great.
Okay.
Thank you. I invite us today to not think too much about our actual projects and focus on ourselves as leaders as well. Thank you and welcome. Okay, and we have Kada. You can tell me now how you actually pronounce your name. Can you unmute yourself?
Hi.
Hi.
Okay. I'm Kader Ilbudo from Burkina Faso. We are developing an agri-tech project, a marketplace that allows farmers to get access to market. And currently we are working with 2 cooperatives of farmers. We are dealing with cereals like maize, sorghum, also cashew and sesame. Are we getting me?
Yes.
Okay.
But I'll just ask you to keep it brief because we just have a check-in now, and we mainly want to just hear where you're calling from and if you need something for this call to feel present.
Okay. I would like to know during this masterclass how to lead the team, the leadership, how to manage the team. You know, as a new in the market, you have to know how to deal with your teammates and the customers and everything around the business. So I hope I will learn a lot. Thank you.
Great, thank you and welcome. All right, guys. So we have a lot of experience in this group, which is amazing because this is called a masterclass, but really we're all masters in our own right, and we're all beginners in our own right. And I really want to invite us in this call to learn from each other and share our experience, and to also come in with curiosity and a beginner's mindset towards it as well. But I definitely also don't necessarily see myself as an expert in leadership, because I don't know if anybody can be, because I think it's something that we can just constantly be learning about and exploring, which I find really exciting. And I also think leadership these days is not so much about answers and more about questions, because we're working in a lot of complexity and we can't always know what the outcomes of our choices and our interventions and our projects will be. We need different ways of leading than we needed in the past. Anyhow, just to summarize what we've just done. So we created now some standards of presence for this group. So these are the ground rules for the next hour that we have together. And they are present. So we're going to stay really together in the group here, not looking at the phone, checking emails. This is just a time for us. Open-mindedness. For some of us, we need a cup of tea. I also needed one. I have one too. We will try to forget the screen. We can be ourselves here. We will participate, and we will allow ourselves and feel comfortable with taking an hour for ourselves and our own time to reflect and grow. And we all want to learn a lot. Great. So I put out a bunch of questions to dive into together in the description for the event. And the first one was, how do we want to work together in a team? So I want to look a little bit at this to begin with. And to do this, we're going to look at what conditions support good teamwork. Because as I said, we work in a lot of complexity. And when we're working in complexity, the best we can often do is create supportive conditions. Again, we can't know always what the outcome of our actions will be, but we can create the best possible conditions that will support an outcome that we want to have. And there's a really nice tool that we're going to use now that helps us understand what that actually means, called feed forward. So feed forward is different to feedback in that, firstly, people respond better to it, which is nice to know. And feedback is really about evaluating things that happened in the past already. So there can be things that went well and it can be things that didn't go well, but the point is it already happened. Feed forward is about looking at what happened in the past and then seeing what things do we want to carry forward with us. So in general, there have been studies that show that people respond better to feed forward, even if the feedback was positive. So it's a helpful tool that you can use in your team to reflect on how things are going. And I won't explain it any further. We're just going to jump straight into it. And we'll do it as a journaling exercise. Does everybody have something you can write on? Yeah. Great. So just take a few moments for yourself. And I want you to bring to mind a moment in the past where you experienced really great teamwork. So try and make it as concrete as possible in your mind. So a moment where things just felt like it was going really well. Everybody was kind of on fire. Things were just flowing. You're having fun as well. You're getting stuff done. It just feels like, yes, this is how it should be. If you can't think of something in your team, then you can think it could also be in your family or with friends. It can be with people in general, but in a team is obviously more fitting to our topic of the day. Also try not to overthink it, just bring whatever first comes to mind. So just tune in with yourself and bring a moment to mind first of all. Does everybody have something in mind? Maybe it's something that's happening at the moment, it's also okay. So we'll have 3 journal questions, and for each I'll give you 90 seconds. So it's quite quick. And the idea is just to journal intuitively and not to overthink it too much. So for the first question, thinking about that moment of great teamwork, what were the things that supported that within myself? What were the things, the conditions within me that allowed that to happen? So that can be my mindset, how I behaved, how I showed up. I was punctual. It doesn't have to be, it can be really anything, but how did I contribute to that? So we'll have 90 seconds starting now. So you can bring your word or your sentence to an end. Cool. So the next question is, in that situation, what were the conditions within others that allowed that great teamwork to happen? How did the others contribute to that? 90 seconds starting now. Great. And again, finish your word. And the final question is, what were the conditions in your environment that supported that teamwork? So this could be something like you had a great office, or you had great routines and structures in your team, or anything that's more around the environment that you were working in. And the final 90 seconds starts now. Okay, so again, wrap it up. I will invite you to share some of those in a minute. But before we do that, I want to share with you a little framework that might help us to put it a bit more into context. So I will share my screen now. Do you all see my screen? Yay. You can see your pretty faces there as well. So this is a framework called AQUAL, which stands for All Quadrants, All Levels. Does anybody already know it? All right. So it's from Ken Wilber, and this is basically a framework to understand systems on different levels. So we can use it on the individual level, on the team level, but also on the societal level. Of course, like any framework, it's oversimplistic and not perfect, but I do find it helpful to understand how these different quadrants interplay with each other. So there's two main axes. We've got the individual and then the collective. And then we've got internal and external. So the individual internal is our mindset. These are all the things within us that can't be seen, our values, our mindset. What you can see, our external individual, is our behavior. You can also see our qualifications, these kind of things. For the internal and collective, then we have culture. And on the outside, we have structures. So often when we look at team things or organizational development in general, we focus a lot on this side of the aquil, the behaviors and structures. But what we often forget is the left side, mindset and culture, which is extremely important. The point is that we need all of them, and they're all very much interrelated with each other as well. And I think we kind of know this intuitively, because when we're in a different social scenario, for example, our workplace, perhaps we behave in a different way than we do when we're with our family or with our friends, depending on the culture in our work. In my work culture, it's not very different, but it depends. And that behavior can have an impact on the way we think about that, or our mindset, or the values that we're even acting out on. And together we create, through that, a culture together. And the structures, of course, impacted on it as well. So what rules are there in our workplace, and how does that affect my mindset? So the important thing is that all four of those are really important when we think about how to build healthy teams, and when we think about ourselves as leaders. And I also think our work as leaders is looking at all of these different aspects, and to not forget the inner parts which can't be seen. What's also important with these inside parts is, with the external, you can regulate them, you can build structures, you can make rules that regulate people's behaviors. Or you can get rid of structures, or you can create new kinds of structures that change the behaviors. But you can't directly influence the mindset and culture. Those things will be influenced through the others, but if you want to directly influence mindset and culture, the way to do it is through reflection. And that's why we also spend time, as we do now in our time together, to actually reflect as well. So what we're going to do is play with this a little bit. I will now stop sharing, and I will ask you to share. We'll go around and just share one thing from each of these levels that we just journaled about. So we'll start on the individual, go around one thing each. So we'll do it quickly. I will type them in and to the aquil, and then we'll see what we end up with. And we can reflect a little bit about it. And if you then have questions about what it even means, you can ask me then. But firstly, I want to hear from you, what are the things that support good teamwork for you? Okay. So let's start this time with Julieta, sincerity. Nice. Okay. You're also welcome to unmute yourself and share. So I might start with you, Jaime.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so some things that I wrote down here when you ask these things were, for example, being calm, being motivated, have a do mentality, have no fears. This was all in the first question. I don't know if I should jump to the next or not. So only individual, right?
Yes. You can share about the next ones while you're already unmuted. Yeah. So in others?
Yeah, so in others, I wrote down here, yeah, also motivation, happiness, being friendly, kindly, always giving constructive feedback, and also like not being, bad reacting, and always having a fluent communication. So at the very end, it's all about feeling that people are trusting you and you are trusting others.
Nice.
And then things that are out of, well, in the environment, I wrote down, well, having a good office, but also like out out of office, like having the mental space for you, and yeah, having the time to dedicate your time to things that you like, and then family, friends, couple, everything should be fine.
Cool.
Yeah.
Nice. Thank you very much. All right. Julie.
Okay, some ingredients that I had on the individual level is that we started the project that was successful with the dream. Instead of jumping into planning or into doing, we just took a step back and thought about what's that. It was a project that was a bit different from normal projects, so like changing from the routine, excitement, fresh mind. Yeah, those are some ingredients I wrote. And then how did others contribute to that? People really engaged in the project. They gave novel ideas. Everyone was excited about it. There's a great project manager that took it. Yeah. And then the condition in the environment I had, it was a standing kind of meeting. Like mine was a very specific thing, very dynamic. We were using Post-its, moving around, high energy, many contributions. Yeah.
Great, thank you very much. Alex.
No. So about myself, I wrote that I felt that my contributions were important, that I was energized with the progress of the meeting itself, so during the meeting. And I was very curious about what was being done. Yeah, these main ideas. And then about others, I wrote open dialogue, so feeling that there's an openness to contribution, empathy, active listening, that people were joyful, and that the decision was being shared.
Nice.
And about the environment, I said venue with possibility of making different spaces to work, and moving yourself, so the dynamic part again, and relaxed and informal environment.
Nice. One moment. So many beautiful things you guys are sharing. Can't type fast enough. Okay, but I will just capture some. And now we will have Sarita.
Again, my situation is kind of out in the field rather than in an office, so that kind of maybe, I don't know if it still works so well, but myself, the contributions I made to the situation were that I trusted those around me. I was really focused very specifically on what was being done. Although it was a dangerous environment, because I trusted the people around me to judge that, I felt safe. And again, that shared responsibility, we all had clearly decided what we would do prior to going into it and stuck to that. The contribution of the other person, there was a cameraman, and he had a quiet confidence about what he was doing with his skills, and that was something that I trusted. And again, the sort of pre-agreed non-verbal communication that we had was working really well, so the whole thing was flowing really well. And we both were pretty quiet and focused. The environment itself was a closed set, but it was a very dangerous environment. So the sort of closed nature of it made it feel a little more safe, because then you don't have to worry about other people, and the people who weren't involved were basically sent away. So it was quite specific. So environmentally, I think it was the closed space that kind of helped.
Cool, thank you very much. Afia, and I'll just ask you to share one or two from each of the categories, just for time.
Okay, so for myself, I would contribute to the process. and I had a good know what we were doing.
You're freezing. I don't hear you
why
properly.
we were for people around me, they they were understanding of the way people with good understanding and open-minded, and then they also had a supportive attitude. The environment, there were available tools to guide the process. And the venue was comfortable and spacious to help the process to move along.
I did not capture all of that. Maybe you can write a couple in the chat. I'm sorry. Just because your internet seems to be not, which I find weird because you're in the same office as the rest, but anyway. Thank you though. Okay. Ali.
Yeah, okay, I'll go through this quite fast. The first thing was my own conditioning. I put several experiences that I had, but they sort of say there's a pattern that I noticed. Well, main thing is to be interested and curious. The other thing is the sense of enthusiasm that comes behind it. And when that is the case, then I'm quite diligent, and the situation is comprehensively understood. So it's quite clear from my side. From the ones of my the conditions of others, the task at hand is very much the situation is understood. We're all on the same page. Again, the curiosity and the enthusiasm is there, which fires it up. And regarding the environment, well, I thought of two environments. One thing, the internal environment, where the possibility of getting together and communicating is fast, and the infrastructure is given, if that is what you meant. And also the other thing, working with the external, that the demand and the interest from the other side is there too, so it makes it much easier for the workflow to go much quicker, and we don't have to run after it the whole time. So basically it's understood.
Great, thank you very much.
Sure.
Rafa.
Hello. Okay. At first, maybe the first one is alignment the team. Okay, and because of that, I think all quadrants are important. But for example, in the first one, the mindset, I think create an ecosystem with that each people have the creation capability and their own initiative inside their role. Okay, they need to be comfortable. Okay, and to develop their tasks or their participation inside the team and in the company or organization. In the second one, the behavior, I think the focus is on collaboration and on competition, because it's inside the team, it's inside the organization, and the competition maybe when go to the market or another in another environments, but not inside the team. Okay, the culture, I think is the common strategy and is maybe the real alignment of the team. Okay, but all is important. And the last one, the structure. I think the goals of the company, of the team in each moment is the need to be developed with the work inside and in collaboration with all the different things in the team and in the environment of the company. Okay, I think is the most important, and each people need to be relevant, but all the team is the important one. Okay, is the real important thing. transparent goals and long and short terms structure with flexibility and adaptations, adaptation in different environments. Okay, if the team need it. Okay, that's all.
Great, thank you. Kata. Do you want to share something?
Okay. What I notice is if you want to develop your project, you have to set up a chart or a document in order to allow people to know each other's. Okay, because you have to know the others, what they like, what they don't like, the do's and don'ts, so that it's allowed to have the same vision in order to move forward and open-minded. There are some in the team who have some behaviors, and if you don't know how they behave, it's difficult. You will start to judge them, and this don't allow the team to move forward. So you have to be open-minded, to be focused and motivated, and not judge people. And above all, the same vision. If you have the same vision, motivated and engaged, if you know your mates, I think it's easy to move forward and build a sustainable environment. Right, to friendly environment. Okay, that's what I noted.
Great, thank you so much. And last but not least, Julieta, did you want to share something as well as what you shared in the chat?
Yes, so to add something that hasn't been said, maybe from my side, adding value to proposals that others put on the table. I think that was very productive, and from others, that it didn't matter who proposed the idea, like there was no hierarchy in the team, and the environmental conditions, budget limitations really helped to enhance some aspects of the project. So yeah, that restriction in budget, I think it helped.
Great, thank you so much. Okay, so I will share the screen with you again so you can have a look what we have created now together. And here we go. So basically we've created here a very nice little overview of what for us in this group are the ingredients of good teamwork. So in the mindset, we've got things like sincerity, calmness, motivation, curiosity. I felt valued, didn't have fears, was excited. Behavior that looked like active listening, focused action, being diligent, taking an initiative. Culture, we have things like happiness, enthusiasm, trust definitely showed up quite a lot. Engagement, excitement, having a shared understanding and vision, sharing the responsibility. And structures, things like having constructive feedback, having lots of post-its and doing meetings in other ways, clear communication, shared decision-making, clear rules, clear goals. It's a lot about clarity there as well. I would love to hear a couple of thoughts from anybody, what you think about this, maybe this framework in general, or what stands out for you when you have a look at this list of things. Maybe just a couple of voices. Anybody like to say something?
So if I may say something,
Yes.
This is, for example, that we're talking right now, this is like a blueprint of something under these conditions that we often have said, a project or a work, so to say, it could be done most efficiently, having that kind of the mindset, the behavior, culture, structure. Is this what you're trying to explain to us, basically? This is like a blueprint of it.
Yeah, it's just a way to understand the different dimensions that are there. And as I said, it's quite simple, but it can actually be quite helpful to think about these different aspects and to think about together in the team, what do each of us need in each of these quadrants, or what supports us as a team. Yeah.
Okay.
Cool. Other questions, thoughts? Yes, Julie.
Yeah, I think it's just interesting that if the left part is the individual and the right part is the collective, that at least here the individual seems to be taking more space.
Yeah, that is interesting. Yeah, true. Other thoughts?
No, sorry, it was actually internal, external, if I do left, right. So internal is weighting more than external.
Yeah, yes, I thought that's what you meant somehow, but yes. Yeah, it is. And of course, like, how do we create motivation, enthusiasm? These are tough questions, actually, but also important to think about. Again, we can decide how we're going to make decisions together. We can decide how we want to give constructive feedback. We can buy post-its. We can practice active listening. But some of these things are a bit trickier, but they're also super important. Any other thoughts at this point? Does this make sense to you, this framework? Do you like it? Do you hate it? Does it help you understand a little bit?
Yes, it absolutely does, because a lot of times when one thinks and it's just in the mind, it's very difficult to articulate that or remember that. But when you put it in German, they say black on white. It becomes much more clear, and a lot more understanding goes to it, I believe.
Yeah. Great. Thank you. All right, I'll stop sharing now. This is also a tool feed forward that we've used in our own team. So you can also do it with your team to understand what your team needs, what's important in the team, and then to look together for these different quadrants, how we can create those conditions the best that we can. And we've used that also as a basis to create what we call our team architecture, which are practices that support us as a team. And some of those are things we do on a daily basis, and some are things that we do on a weekly or monthly basis. And it's everything from having our 6 weekly strategy meetings to having our daily check-ins to we start meetings with a check-in every time. So we come up with them together and we try different things out, but it's based on knowing what are the conditions that we all need in our team to support good teamwork. So you can give that one a go. And I think what always comes up when we do these kind of exercises is the importance of trust. And I want to speak a little bit about that. And I know I have some experts in this group on these kind of topics. So I'm definitely not an expert, but I'm super curious about it. And maybe you have heard of a study that was done by Google over 2 years, looking into what are the secret ingredients of high-performing, amazing teams. And one of the #1 things that they found out was psychological safety. So this is the belief that you will not be punished when you make a mistake. It's about having trust in the team, and it's about feeling safe to take risks. And it's also coming from the idea that our brains are wired in a way that if we perceive that somebody is attacking us, and that could also be a criticism, we tend to naturally react in a fight or flight way. So this speaking before acting, or acting before thinking, speaking before thinking kind of reactions. And when we're in that way, like when we get triggered in that way, we lose our capacity to think creatively. We lose our capacity to be analytical. We basically just shut down. And so the question then is, how can we create this kind of safety in the team? Because we know we're physically safe So it's just having this feeling of being safe. And of course, super important to that is having an environment of trust. And, you know, I think it's really important because, yeah, when we feel safe, we're more open-minded, we're more resilient, we're more creative, we're more innovative, all of these things we want from the people in our team. And I think there's small things we can do to not feel attacked or to attack each other. And there's also small practices that we can build into our daily work or into our more strategic work that help us build trust and build a culture together that supports our needs. And I'm sure you guys have ideas about that as well. I already introduced a couple into this call. So one thing was we had a check-in. Check-ins are a really helpful tool for allowing people to be human, to be vulnerable. We in our team always start our meetings with a check-in. Actually, we start each day with a check-in. And there is space for us to say what's present for us at the moment. But of course, to get to the point where you can say, actually, I feel shit today, you need to already have a certain level of trust there. But just practicing these things can already start to build up that space. And you can do check-ins also in a simple way. So one nice tool is to ask people what their energy level is from a scale of 1 to 10. So it doesn't have to get too deep, but just to assess and to know that it's all okay. It's okay that sometimes you only have energy level 2 and other days you have 10. Everything's allowed. Or sometimes we ask, recently we often do the one, which animal do you feel like today? It doesn't have to all be serious either. And the other one was doing the standards of presence. And the reason we do that, and we do that in our own team, we do it every 6 months or so. And the idea there is really collecting this list of ground rules for how we want to work together. So we ask the question, what do I need to feel good in this team? What do I need to work well in this team? And we collect those things, we have them up on our wall. And that really influences the way we work together. And for us in our team, it's including things like, I like hugs, or we need to have enough coffee, like basic stuff from like, we want to take walks together, having walking meetings, or we want to have space for radical honesty. We want to have space where we can also grow and reflect. Everything that's important to us. And I think apart from that, this helps us to really consciously together create our culture. And it also shows us what needs are there, because making people's needs visible is super powerful. And it's also okay if not everyone's needs are the same. I like hugs a lot, but other people in the team might not. So they can also say, no, I don't want hugs. Everybody's needs are allowed, and it's also helpful just to see that some of the needs we have are actually the same. So that's another little tool that we can use as well. And we use it also with our clients and our partners actually as well, to establish how do we want to work together. Super simple but helpful tool. And hopefully you feel the effects of the culture that we've created together here in this hour. Alrighty. And the other thing then, another really important tool, which also came up a lot in our ACWL, is curiosity. So maybe not really a tool, more of a mindset. But this is also a really powerful way which we can break down this pattern of feeling attacked. So especially if there's a conflict or a challenge that we're facing, rather than blaming people or attacking people, we can address it with curiosity. And of course, one of the core things behind curiosity is asking questions. So questions are in general a really powerful tool as a leader. And they're also a powerful tool in terms of thinking how we can empower others in the team, which is the other part of our topic for today. How can we empower others to be leaders in the team? So examples of questions which can be empowering, and I'll give you a moment to share your thoughts in just 30 seconds, Ali. Sure. Examples of empowering questions can be asking people what inspires them actually, what are they excited about? How do they want to grow? What do they want to grow into or learn? What would support them as well? And also not just to ask others in the team, but also to ask ourselves, Because, you know, especially thinking about empowering others, we have to ask ourselves, what do I actually need to let go of so that others can step up? Or where am I getting in the way? So we're going to go into a small exercise with questions in a moment, but I just wanted to give you the chance to say something, Ali, because I think you had a thought, and if anybody else has a thought,
Yes.
we'll get into the exercise.
This is very interesting for me to listen, because I started first in the end of the 80s to start working. So I'm so to say, the culture and everything has changed quite a bit, and for me to a very positive way. Nonetheless, there's always this kind of a line between private and professional. Now, what this new approach is to basically somehow merge it. I mean, what you're talking about is like talking to someone like is your friend, your family, and so on and so forth, which gives a great feel of trust and so forth with it. Now, when things go sour, which they do, and how to resolve those kind of conflicts, naturally being this kind of a relationship with others does help, and it puts in another level. But there is this gray area of when is it private and when is it professional? How does one go? And this, a lot of times, not too many people can handle this. Because someone comes and tells me about her female issues that she has, and which has, well, for me, that's information overshare, really, but has little to do also with the work that we're doing. But I understand, and this is, the person feels free to say that. Nonetheless, if something goes wrong and we miss a deal, and it comes down to how the company is going, how we're dealing with clientele, here and there, naturally, one can help each other out. But when it happens one after the next, and they feel too comfortable with somebody about this, I'm being the devil's advocate here, okay? Too comfortable, then how do you basically get to the point directly and say what the issue is and that this is not really working well? For a person that is so open to me, for example, I take your example there, she likes to be hugged. And hugging is a great thing, but it's kind of personal, you know? And see what I'm getting at? It's a personal, professional mixture. It gets into a gray area. I'm done. Okay.
Sure. I will just briefly respond, and then keeping an eye on the time, I want to move on so that we don't get too lost down rabbit holes. Hugging was maybe not the best example to use, but the point is really that we decided in our team really consciously which kind of culture we want to create. And for us in our team, it's important that we are whole human beings in our office. We are not different people at work or at home. And that is the choice that we made. And for some people, for you, that might be too much. That's fair enough. I totally respect that. For us, it's the process of starting a startup is so intense. I don't think I could do it if I couldn't be vulnerable with my workmates and get a hug every now and then. But the point really is that we made that explicit what our needs there are. And so for you, you could state that there are boundaries between work and life. And that's also healthy boundaries, also super important part of leadership, actually. And that for you, certain things are oversharing, and that's your needs. That's okay. And I think the most important thing here is that there's no right or wrong. There's just how you want to do it and how you choose to do it in your team. There's not one size fits all. So all I want to share with this tool is just the thought to make people's needs explicit. And how you want to create your culture is completely up to you and the team.
Okay, thanks. It's just the way it's very important to have this kind of a trust relationship, because trust is ultimate. And of course, I understand what you're saying regarding the culture that one wants to build, and one builds that together. People could be different, and I understand that. So I thank you for your, I just wanted to get this gray area out of the way, and you just did. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. And I have to say it is a gray area, and we're also exploring that in our team. Where are the limits? Because there are limits, and that's what we're finding out as well. So it's definitely something that we reflect on together in the team. And I think what you, I'm sure already also know, is the important thing with trust is that it's built up over time. and it's built up in small things over time. And the point that we got to in our team with the honesty level that we have, like, it wasn't like that 2 years ago, and it wasn't like that 1 year ago. That's really been something that we worked on. But it does help us address conflicts in a pretty cool way, where we can share the stories that we're making up, for example, about what's happening in the situation, or a level of honesty that's probably not always there, but helps to really clarify things.
All right, thank you.
Thank you so much. Cool. Okay, so for the last minutes that we have together, coming back to the idea of questions as a tool for empowerment, I want to invite you to just take a couple of minutes, probably 2 minutes or so, maybe 90 seconds again, to think about some challenges that you're facing at the moment in your work as a leader or in your team, and then to reframe it as a question that you might be having. So a question that's often present for me is, when is it the right thing to step up as the leader, and when is it the right thing to step back, for example? The question doesn't have to have a simple answer. Actually, it's better if it doesn't, then it's a powerful question. So is that clear? Cool. Take your couple of minutes starting now. Yes, I can say again, Julieta, so thank you. Writing down one, no, it's not if we should step back, it's a question which is present for you at the moment. So this was just an example of a question that is present for me. Something that's present for you in your work as a leader, as a question right now. Great, thank you. Okay, does everybody have a question? And it doesn't have to be perfect, because it's also important, I think, leadership capacity to get used to not being perfect and not having things fully ready, but sometimes just going for it. So we'll go around and I'll ask you just to read your question. No explanations, just the question, okay? And we'll start this time with Sarita.
Sorry. Okay, my question is, how do I let go of the need to control or make or do everything myself and not just hand it off?
Great question.
Bad
Great
leadership.
question. Thank you. Okay. Julieta.
So for me, I think it's how can I listen better? How can I do more active listening?
Yeah, great. Thank you. Ali.
Okay. This is going back to the point that we said before. My question is, working with, having partnership, working with friends that you know from the past. So the gray area is definitely there.
Mm-hmm.
And especially one of them who had psychological issues, but now is back on track. Nonetheless, there is this shadow always there. And I said, I'm going to go for it because I'm a behavioral psychologist myself. So
no explanations, just the question.
All right, that was the question. That's it.
Thank you.
Okay.
That's a great question. Thank you. Rafa, what's your question?
Okay. How to manage at the team level the extreme uncertainty of a startup in its first steps? Okay.
Great, great question. Thank you. Jaime.
My question is, when is the right time or frequency to have retrospective meetings to address issues that are currently happening?
Great, thank you. Efia. Hello.
So my question is, how do I intervene in a task I have delegated to a team member without making them feel bad?
Great question, thank you. Alex.
Okay. So how to achieve efficiency, work and work-life balance in a high-performance team.
Nice. And Julie.
Yeah, I'm a bit self-conscious because people entered the office in the meantime and they will be like, what is she saying? But my question is, should I always be informed of everything?
Great questions, everybody. Super powerful questions. Julieta, you said you want to practice active listening. We will do that now for the next minutes. So what will happen now, yes, Smiley, I like it, is I invite you to take your question into a breakout room. I'll put you in a moment into breakout rooms and we'll go into pairs. And in the time, you will first have 3 minutes to share about your question and why it's important to you at the moment. 3 minutes. The other person will then have 1 minute to reflect back to you. So the important thing is, in your 3 minutes, the other person, as the listener, try not to respond to them. You can respond with your body language, but keep yourself on mute. It's great on Zoom because you can actually mute yourself and it really supports the process. It's not so easy to not speak back, but just see what happens when you do. So here we really want to listen with curiosity, with non-judgment, open-mindedness, and all of those beautiful ingredients of non-active listening. As the speaker, there's no need to rehearse what you're going to say, just speak spontaneously, speak from your heart. And if there's nothing to say, that's okay. You don't have to fill the space. Just give yourself a moment to pause and maybe something else will come up or not. It's okay. For some people, 3 minutes is a long time. For some other people, it's very, very short. So you'll see. Then after that, we'll switch. The other person will have 3 minutes to share about why their question is important to them at the moment. So in the minute when you can reflect back, you can just share anything that showed up for you while you were listening. Is that clear? I will write you little notes so you'll have the timing so you don't need to time it for yourself. For the last one, because the breakout rooms always take 1 minute to close, I will just close the breakout room and then that last person will have their minute. Does that make sense? Cool. So I'll put you now into breakout rooms and I'll write to you when the first 3 minutes will start. Any questions before we start? Perfect. So then in you go to your rooms, have fun. You have to accept your invitation. Julieta, you need to, yeah, perfect.
That was very cool.
Welcome back. I know it's very short. Let's just take a couple of breaths just to notice what's present for you now. What thoughts are there? Maybe you had some insights while you were listening or speaking. Something got clearer. Or you just have some joy from speaking, connecting with someone else.
Yeah, that was totally
cool. I just want to ask if it's okay for you guys if we go a few minutes later, because I would just love to have a few reflections about that and then still have a checkout.
Sure.
While respecting the time. Perfect. Julieta, you wanted to share something?
well, that was totally like an experience like without a computer, like Julie said at the beginning. Like she really wanted a no screen experience.
Nice.
that was a very human experience.
Beautiful. Who else would like to share some thoughts about not so much about the content of what you talked about, but the experience? How was it to listen? How was it to be listened to?
Okay, me, no? Yeah?
Anybody who would like to share.
Okay, no, the experience, I'm Rafa, okay, the experience is so good, I think, and the partner, Ali, is, I think, is a great mind, okay, and I can share and say good things for my problem, maybe, or my question, okay, I think they have good content to develop, okay?
Perfect, thank you.
Thanks, Rafa. Yeah, I mean, okay, I'll follow up here because it was very good because also here, funny enough, we're kind of in this. The questions were very much the same, so it was good to get a bit of a feedback from the other side, from another point of view, and I could really relate to it myself too. So that's why I think I also the information I gave him was also good for him.
Nice, thank you. Anybody else?
Can I just say that it's really nice to talk to Alex, and it probably really helped in sharing together that we've met each other, because I think there's that aspect with the trust thing, isn't there? With to have met someone, there's an element of trust there that if you're sort of thrown together with someone you've never met before, it would be different, maybe.
Yeah, I also wanted to say that it was super easy to seem vulnerable with a stranger. So maybe the language barrier with Julieta was helping, but it was definitely really, nice to trust so easily and to talk about something that you are worried about. So really nice.
Nice. Thanks, guys. Listening is definitely a very important leadership capacity, especially when we talk about building trust and creating space where people feel comfortable to share what's actually important to them, but also to share their ideas, because we're not going to become innovative, creative people and share our ideas if we don't feel that we can trust and we feel safe to do so. And I think it's amazing how quickly we can go deep and how quickly we can connect, because you were just there for 8 minutes and you all came back with so much more energy. And it's also interesting to see how much we affect each other and our energy levels affect each other. So really nice to see you all coming back after that, for sure. And I would definitely invite you to practice listening, because it's a superpower and nobody needs to know you're practicing. But it can really make a big difference in the way we interact with people. And as we know, our behavior and our mindset has a big impact on our culture and structures in our team. So all of these little things can make a big difference. And I can talk for a long time about the importance of listening in teamwork, but I think we can already have a little bit of a sense just from playing with it for a few minutes. So I hope the experience speaks for itself. And just to wrap up our call for today then, before we go into the checkout, I want to say that leadership and teamwork are such ginormous, huge, complex and exciting topics. And today my aim was really just to scratch the surface and get you curious and hopefully share some new insights or ideas, or at least give you some space to reflect on what's important to you at the moment, what questions are present. And I hope those questions can go with you out of this as well. And you can also carry them for a while. You don't have to find answers. Sometimes just having asked yourself the question already allows the answers to start showing up. So see what happens with that. And maybe it feels like we went a bit all over the place, but I hope that it will start to settle and make sense as we go on. And as part of that as well, just for a 30-second pitching moment of self-promotion, we have got a leadership journey starting soon. So at Unity Effect, one of the core things we do is run programs, and we run them online with Zoom. So it's actually very similar to what you just experienced. And the leadership journey is for a small group. We'll have max 12, but probably we are a group similar to this, and we meet every week on Zoom for 2 hours. It's a little bit longer, and each week we dive into a different topic. And we combine different tools with reflecting on our experience, and in between then you implement the tools and see what happens. Then you also have a one-on-one buddy with someone else in the group to support you, so you can really dive deeper into your own process. And yeah, the idea is really supporting people on their journey to becoming leaders who empower others, who empower themselves, stepping into your potential as a leader, which can be so many different things, because who we are is how we lead. And it's really a journey. And it's not about us as journey guys being experts, but really to go on that path together and explore it together. And we've run different journeys up until now. We have purpose journey, change maker journey, but this will be the first time we do leadership journey. So it's a pilot. We've still got a few places free, and we would love to have some people from the Bridge community join, because especially for the pilot, it's more important to us that people are committed and excited to be part of it than being able to contribute financially necessarily. So if you're curious, you can write to me later. And there's more information on our website, and I will leave it there for now. And I would love to then end with a checkout, and we'll keep it brief. So just one word or one sentence. What is present for you now? Or what are you taking with you? So whichever of those questions resonates more, either how you feel now or what you're taking with you from this call. Who would like to start? And then we'll go around the circle.
I'm trying to think of a word. There are two things. One thing is grateful, the other one is hopeful.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Yeah.
Rafa, you're next.
Okay, I'm now in a roller coaster, and I need to hike in the mountain only. Okay, right now.
Okay, thank you. Julieta.
So my feeling is that things are not black or white, that there's many tones in between, and they're all beautiful.
Beautiful, thank you. Sarita.
Sorry. Feeling quite warm from having actually shared, because I work in quite an isolated place. And grateful, yes, thank you.
Thank you. Julie.
Feeling refreshed and connected.
Nice, thank you. Afia.
I feel understood and grateful.
Thank you. Alex.
A word is feed forward. I love that. And I feel very, very happy and very proud of being in this call with everyone being so open and so generous, so belonging.
Beautiful, thank you. And Jaime.
Yeah, I feel thankful for you being so yourself, like everyone, and I'm very decided to put in practice many things that I learned today.
Awesome, thank you. And I'm energized for one thing, because I just love all of your energy, and I'm really grateful and appreciative of your presence, and that you're really here and contributing and engaging and willing to go on this mini journey. And I hope that I could give you some food for thought. And I'm curious to see what comes of your experiment. So I'm very happy to hear from you in the community, and would love to do more things with the Bridge community in general. So super nice group, and pleasure to spend this time with you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Emily. Thank you. Very, very generous. We couldn't ask for more. Thank you, everyone who joined. It's so funny because we usually ask for a word to describe the feeling. So I feel like we had the perfect closing. Thank you for that as well. I invite you all to share also your comments and your feedback. And if there's any insight later today that crosses your mind, to share it. We have the event in the community for that. More and more we want to do this kind of events as well. I do feel very grateful for the environment that was set here, and for everyone's openness. So if you have anything, any requests, any suggestions, do share it, because this is what makes us being able to bring content like this for you as well. And we'll be sharing the recording as well, if you want to review your thoughts as well. So that would be it. Thank you so much, everyone.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you, Emily.
Cheers.